Welcome, everybody, to Success Secrets, starring Ellen Hill today. My name is Kim Smith, and this is a show for real estate agents who want to take over the world. Ellen, thank you for being with us today.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
I've got some questions for you that I think people will be very curious about. Now, you have had an amazing career over the last 7 years, correct?
Yes.
7 years? Yes. And so for those of you that don't know, this year, Ellen will have completed and sold, 50 units, which is pretty impressive. And Ellen, we were talking about this, and you said your first year you did 13.
Mm-hmm.
And then your second year, how many did you sell?
My second year, I did 35.
So that's a really big jump. And what I see in what we do is a lot of agents get sort of stuck in the 1 to 24 a year. I don't want to call it a rut because 24 a year is really good, but sometimes people find it difficult to break through that ceiling. But you were able to do that your second year. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you think might have contributed to it?
Yeah. Well, I got a lot of really good advice from agents in my first year that I kind of implemented in that second year that made a big difference. Some of those things were tracking. About halfway through my first year, I started tracking everything I did. I tracked leads, lead sources, closed business sources, and all that sort of thing, and was able to really see, okay, well, I'm great at turning stuff from my sphere. I'm terrible at turning leads from an open house. So I stopped putting emphasis at open house and put emphasis in my sphere. And so tracking really, really helped me. And the second thing was goal setting. That really made a big difference. That first year, I just wanted to make enough money to justify being in real estate, right? Like that was the goal the first year. And then the second year, I knew I wanted to hit a certain number of transactions. And then I told my broker what it was. I wanted to hit 20. And he said, nope, double it. You can do more than that. You can do better than that. So I had a goal of 20 that second year, and I set it to 40. And I missed my goal at 35. But I mean, that still was a great year. So I think tracking business, goal setting, and then third, social media was really big for me.
Awesome.
I was 25 when I got started and sound like a mouse on the phone, and everybody in town remembers me as like Roger's little girl or Nelson's granddaughter. And so I was on social media that first year just looking very professional and like I was having the time of my life. And that second year is when my sphere really bought into me, not just told somebody they work with about me, but they themselves were willing to trust me because I kind of faked it on social media for a while. And they could see that I was in the right place. I was doing it every day. I was professional about it. And I think that made a big impact, on their willingness to use me, not just refer me out.
I'm curious about your social media now that you mentioned it. So what were you focusing on when you were posting during those first couple of years?
During those first couple of years, it was just things I was doing. So like if I'd go meet with a buyer, I'd take the buyer brokerage book and I'd get a really fun latte with a cool swirl and I'd take a picture of that. Or we'd be in sales meeting and the company I was with at the time said the pledge to the flag at every sales meeting, and I'd post the flag and I'd say, I love working for a company that believes in the American dream. And I would just post things I was doing, not necessarily here's a house, here's a house, here's a house. Like there's a picture of me in the car where I'm wrestling open house balloons behind me and, just showing that I'm doing the tasks. And I think that's what it was. It wasn't just this cool agent in my office lists this awesome house. Here's another awesome house. It was me working daily in the business.
It was your life. And were you very consistent about that? Were you posting, let's say, every day, or how were you handling that?
I was trying to post 4 times a week. And so I tried to do a decent blend of personal life and real estate. So I would show that I'm out to dinner back when we could go out to dinner. I was out to dinner here, or I was hanging out in this part of town. And I tried to show like, I know Marietta, I'm in Roswell. Oh, I'm downtown. And I tried to show all that as well as show that I'm a person who's having fun so that my engagement would stay high on social media.
Now, has your social media strategy changed now, 7 years in? You still doing the same things, or what have you done that's different now?
I think fundamentally it's still the same. I try to do a blend of work and personal life. The honest, sad truth is that I'm a little busier than I was, and I'm not as consistent as I should be or I would like to be. And when clients hire me to help them, they know I have social media and they know that I'm, very plugged in online. So they want to see their house there. So before I didn't say, look at this pretty house, where now I have listings and my sellers are asking me to do that. So now I have houses and what I'm doing on the weekend.
Okay. So would you say that, so let's just summarize, what helped you grow the most? That was tracking where your business was coming from and then focusing in those areas, goal setting, and then, a lot of the social media, just getting your name out there. Let me just change the tables a little bit. What have you tried that didn't work?
I cannot convert a lead from an open house to save my life. I'm not good at it. I guess I'm not trustworthy in person. I don't know. I've never been able to do that. I've tried spending a lot of time there and it didn't work. I tried farming a neighborhood because I know a lot of top agents, run these different communities, and I never really was able to get any traction doing that. So both of those were, I think, things that other agents have great success in that I just haven't.
Okay. What specifically do you think you've had to change as your business has grown?
I've had to learn how to set boundaries in a way that doesn't feel like boundaries to the client, because otherwise I could just work constantly. So I've had to learn it's okay to say, I've got an appointment tonight. I can't do that. Can we do it tomorrow night? And I've had to learn to kind of carve out time and protect time for me, when in the beginning I was just I was so poor and just willing to work. So that's something that's changed.
Okay. What do you think is the best source of leads when you are new as compared to now? Has that changed, or is it the same?
When I was really new that first year, I got a lot of business from agents in my office. I joined an office that had a lot of wonderful, very seasoned agents, and I'd hang out in the break room and I'd listen to them talk, and they'd get somebody who they were sick of, or they were going up, to their second home for a week or whatever. And I'd get a lot of cast off business in the beginning because I was just kind of a sponge, and that doesn't necessarily happen anymore.
Okay. Let's see here. So who have you learned the most from about business, real estate or otherwise?
So there was a couple, Fred and Diane Cook. They've been realtors in Cobb County forever. They taught me a lot about selling houses to people's personality types. And so I'd call and say, okay, this is the scenario. This is the problem. How do I tell this guy this is the solution? And they helped me pretty significantly there. I took the Ninja course. I've taken Buffini. I've taken Tom Ferry courses. And I think there's a lot of really good in all those. I think that a lot of the basics of my business are really strongly Buffini oriented. And then a lot of my routine now is very Ninja focused. So I think both of those training groups have been awesome.
So Ninja is a training group that's offered through your brokerage. Is that right?
Yes. And I do believe you can take it independent of a brokerage.
And just for anybody out there who might not know a lot about it, can you give just some bullet points about it, or what they could expect, or how it helped you?
Yeah. So Ninja is a very systematic plan. You do these 5 things every day. You do these 3 things every week, and you do this one other thing once a quarter. And it's just a really clear roadmap on how to connect people. It's very sphere-based. So, you send this many personal notes every day. You call this many people every day. And then there's a few other things in there like that.
Okay. What would you say the biggest challenges that you've had in real estate, and how did you overcome it?
My biggest challenge in real estate was, in the beginning, definitely was my age. I had a really hard time overcoming the fact that I was younger, both in front of clients and with other agents I was trying to negotiate with. I'd have people call me, say, honey, you don't know what you're doing. This isn't how we sell houses around here. And you'd have to kind of politely wade through that, right? Like, I can't be a jerk, but I also need to let them know that I'm a professional too. And so that was really tricky to find my confidence dealing with other agents. And then finding my confidence working with a new client was also really tricky in the beginning. And I got to where I just kind of, with clients, I was just really honest. I would lean it. I wouldn't shy away from it if I was asked, well, yes, you are going to be the first house I sold in this county if I was asked. But then I would lean into the support I have from my brokerage or agents around me and that sort of thing.
Okay. What's the most important lesson that you've learned during the course of your career so far?
Most important lesson. So I think it was really, I don't know how to say this. I never thought I would be successful in business to this level. I just never did. And I think I've learned to not underestimate myself. And I think I've really come to realize that, I can actually do anything I want to do. And that's a really powerful place to be. So I think that's probably the biggest.
I love that.
Yeah.
So tell us what systems or tech that you use to stay organized.
So I try to be very systematic in everything that I do. Prior to meeting you, I had a bunch of old school checklists. Now your group has really freed me up. But when I have tasks I need to get done, I just use the Notes app on my iPhone and I sort them by what day something needs to be done. I use that app a great deal. I use DocuSign and HomeSnap and some of those other more basic ones, but really just staying really organized in my to-do list on my phone is the best.
Okay. Can you think of a person, book, or class that's been the most influential? You mentioned ninjas. What else?
Brian Buffini was very instrumental in helping me figure out how to run a database well. So that was really important. Raving Fans is a great book about just the importance of investing in your client who will then turn and become a raving fan and market for you. So that's been a great book for me. And then the Miracle Morning is also a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me, what's the weirdest thing you've seen while you've been showing houses?
So I was showing my family dentist and his wife a house. His wife and my mom have taught second grade Sunday school together since the dawn of time. We go down to this basement. We can't find the light switch. Finally, we find it, flip the light switch, and full on stripper pole. We got strobe lights. We got like shag carpet. I mean, a full setup. And I about died. I was here with like these sweet, wonderful people. I mean, it's just a terrible feeling.
What did everyone say?
It was awful. We just kind of like, oh, okay.
She'll just turn around and leave.
Basically. My sweet dentist, he was like, well, it looks like that's not so structurally sound, so we can pull that out. And I was like, oh.
Wow. I'll forget that one. And I'm always curious about people who are successful. Do you have a morning routine, or what do you do in the morning? What do you eat for breakfast? What does that all look like for you?
Yeah. So in the morning I get up, I tell Surrey to play some piano music and listen to quiet, soft music. I try not to look at my phone until about 8:30. I'm not always good at it, but I try really hard not to. I sit, I have quiet time. I read my Bible. I then write out 5 things I'm thankful for. I write out my business goals, and I just take some time to be really still. Then I have breakfast. I just eat a granola bar for breakfast because I'm not a huge eater in the morning.
Okay.
I drink a Diet Coke, and about that time I pick up my phone and start working.
Okay, awesome. This is very important. Favorite nail polish color?
Oh, so it's 203. It's a pale pink S&S.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that your go-to constant?
It is.
Okay. All right. If you could give one piece of advice to a new agent, what would that be, Ellen?
I would say be a sponge and try everything, but then find what works for you, like authentically works for you, and stick with it. I think a lot of agents find success and they do well at whatever it is, lead source generating activity, and then they give it up when they get busy. You've got to stay consistent even when it starts working for you. You've got to keep at it. And I think that's real important.
Awesome. And do you have a motto or words that you live by?
It changes. But right now, funny enough, 2020, my word for the year, I picked a word, not a phrase, was peace, because I wanted to find peace. I wanted to find peace in my business, peace in my personal life. And so really, I'm trying to work from a place of peace this year. Funny enough, the world fell apart, but
And that's the perfect thing to have when the world falls apart, is your inner peace, right? I mean, you can't buy that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, love it, love it. Thank you so much, Ellen. Everybody, Ellen Hill, amazing realtor, amazing woman, and I'm just so thankful to know you and grateful for you coming on our show. Wishing you much more success and much more peace in 2021. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.